go up, let the club fall down, and we are now back in that position that we just worked on, where we're gonna move our body and go ahead and hit that golf ball. So I can go up, club falls, move through, and I'm gonna take this through to a swing, get a feel, and you can see there, actually that was a really good one. What's going on, everybody? Scott Hogan coming at you. We're gonna get rid of that flip here today, and this is one of those things. I was working with the student the other day, and if we were looking at the hierarchy of issues that I run into on the lesson tee on a consistent basis, flipping the golf club is high up on that list. But we were able to get rid of a flip for this particular student doing one very easy drill that I will show you. Now, the big thing with the flip is you need to understand that the flip is caused by other things. It's a symptom to other issues that are going on in your golf swing, and we're going to get to all of those throughout this video. You will have a full understanding of what the flip is and how to get rid of it if you work at it enough. The flip, though, let's define first what that is in the golf swing. When people are making a swing, we're going to talk mainly about irons, but this can happen with the driver as well. When we make a backswing, I bring the golf club up, we start the club down, and that golf club starts to pass our hands as it's going through the hitting area, and it's passing earlier. The easiest way to think about it is we have the butt end of the golf club, and then we have the club head. When I'm hitting an iron, I'm going to get set up, and the butt end of the club is going to be a little bit in front of the club head. As I go through the swing, that relationship is going to stay that way, where the butt end leads the club head all the way through impact, and actually all the way through to somewhere out here where we've actually released the golf club. The club head will then pass the butt end of the golf club. We are now looking at how do we keep that relationship as we go through. So again, we get set up, butt end of the club on the front end. We go back, definitely have the butt end of the club in front of the club head here. We go up, we still have the butt end of the club in front. We come down, still have the butt end of the club in front. We go into impact, and the butt end of the club is leading into the strike. That is what we are looking for to get rid of the flip. Again, when people go up and they make their swing, they're usually pretty good in the backswing. Sometimes they're not, but usually pretty good in the backswing. But when they start down, that club head starts to overtake the grip end really, really fast. And that is what causes us to have that flipping motion. It causes us to have some issues with hitting the ball really high. It also has some issues where we will see this club extend when we see the club get too far away from us too early, and it wants to get into the ground too soon. So we're going to have some chunks. We're sacrificing the low point of our swing, which is definitely something that we do not want to do, because that leads to poor contact. Also, when we start adding loft or seeing those high shots, if we were to make contact with the ball, we're going to see loft added to the golf shot. The ball is going to go high. It's going to come up short, though. If you're somebody that hits the ball and you're like, man, it looks nice when I hit it, but it just doesn't go anywhere, this is going to be the fix for you. Now, when we look at it, what are the issues? We said earlier, there is a cause that is making you flip. The flip is a symptom to what is going on. There are three main things that I see on a daily basis that cause the flip. The first is going to be an open club face. Now, that could be because we have a grip that is improper. If you need to check that, I would highly recommend you check that first. If you don't know how to check that, I will link a grip video up here. That is a great one to watch. Just keep checking your grip. But a lot of times I will see people throughout the swing that are opening the face. Now, a couple of ways that we can check that is when I bring the club back, what I'll see is players that get the club face rolled open where it's pointing up to the sky, or they go up to the top of the swing, and as they start down, the club face is pointing up to the sky. Now, in this position, what needs to happen is we need to square the face. The only way I'm really going to be able to do this is by starting to throw the club head, which then allows that face to square up. And I can hit the ball reasonably straight if I do that. Now, That's not the most efficient way, but it is a shot that is going to work. Here's what always happens if people don't get that face square. If you were to try to lead or compress or stop flipping the club, what you're going to see is I've got the face open. I'm going to lead into impact, and that face is going to be wide open. That face is pointing straight here at my golf bag. That is not a functional shot. Our brain starts to take over and say that is not a good option, and so it starts to automatically flip the golf club. That is one of the biggest things that I see when people are struggling with this motion. Now, the second thing that I'll see is people are struggling with their swing plane. They're trying to make a swing, and a lot of times they're trying to hit down on the ball, whatever reason, but when they are swinging the golf club, they are getting the club way too far outside. And if that happens, if you were to actually make a good swing, what's going to happen is I'm swinging so far outside that I'm going to hit down on the ball too much. And if I was to actually lead the club into impact, do it properly where the butt end is leading into impact, I'm going to hit so down that ball is going to be so low that that's not even like a functional shot. That ball came out 5 degrees of launch, and that's actually like semi-decent. Usually the shot's a lot worse than that, but that's not a shot that we would actually want to hit anyway. So what do you do instead? We go ahead and, if we're going out, we start to throw the club so we can shallow it out a little bit, soften that blow that we're going to have into the turf, and also actually have a little bit of loft. I had 7 degrees of loft, of dynamic loft, on that golf club as we went through. That is not something that's going to be sustainable. This is a 7-iron. That is definitely not something we are looking to have as we're going through and hitting a shot. Conversely, if we're hitting the ball and you're swinging too far from the inside, let's say we're too far off plane from the inside, we need to actually start flipping because we're swinging so far out away from us that we need to start squaring the face, otherwise we're going to hit a huge block. Also, we are going to come in and we're actually going to hit the ground a little too early, so we start trying to throw the club, get that club head to the ball before we hit the ground. It's one of those things that we try to just get the club however we can to the ball, doing whatever we need to. That is what happens, and that's another way that flip starts to come in. Now, the third thing is we just don't get the body moving as we go through the swing. When people are swinging the golf club, they will just go back and they just kind of camp out on their trail foot, and they just swing the arms down, and they're trying to get that club to the ball. They look something like this. The only way I can get that golf club to the ball is to throw the club at the ball. If we are going to successfully move the butt end of the club, we need to actually get our body moving so that we can make the club and the handle move more forward. Now, those are the 3 causes that we see. How do we fix those? That's the million-dollar question. And what is this drill that gets you through all of these? Well, we first have to look at the open club face. That is going to be it's the easiest one to see and to fix, but it can be difficult if you haven't been doing this or you're not aware that you were opening the face. That can be an issue. When I see people making a swing, what I like to see, if you're somebody that's coming in with the face looking up at the sky, I want to exaggerate things a little bit. So what we're looking for is a face that's going to point a little bit more down. I want to point this face a little bit more down at the ball. On the takeaway, I want to keep that face pointed at the ball. Then we're going to go up to the top of the swing and come back down, and I want to see that face pointed. That is the first step to starting to get rid of your flip. If you hit a few shots doing this, and you see the ball take off way left, that is okay. As we add more elements in, that will go away, but we need to get that club face square, because as we move and do the rest of the things that are going to stop us from flipping, that is actually going to help us keep that club face square throughout. So even if it's a little closed, by adding some of the other elements, the face will actually open up or get square as you're moving through the shot. Now, to fix the second thing, what do we need? We need to get the club more on plane. The biggest thing when it comes to plane, first off, if you get the club face square, it's a lot easier to swing the club on plane. Now, the second thing, though, is we need to understand how our arms work throughout the swing. When people are thinking about how to get the club down and they're off plane, typically they're trying to do either too much with their body, where they'll drop the club under the plane, or they will try to hammer down on the ball, which brings them over, and that's not what we want either. All we need to do to get the club more on plane is bring the club back, and we need to just let our arms fall. Let our arms fall to where the club gets to about parallel to the ground. That is a big position in the swing. This is where we can see if the face is square, and that is going to see if we can get this club on plane. So we just need to literally let the club fall, and we are going to be in a pretty good spot to get the club to deliver. Anything that you've ever been told about from the top of the swing, firing your hips, getting everything to go, lagging the club behind, that's typically going to be the thing that causes us to get off plane, which is not what we want in this motion. It's going to lead to a lot of issues that we need to make up for down by impact, namely flipping. Now, the last thing is, if we get this right, where we've got the face square and we start getting that club to fall onto plane, then we need to look at how do we get the club and our body to move so that the club doesn't overtake everything. Well, to do this, we need to understand how our body moves. When I swing, what I'm trying to do, when we watch really good ball strikers, they come down, and as they're going into impact, you're going to notice two things. One, their chest has opened up, so their chest is pointing down and in front of the golf ball, and well in front of the golf ball. Now, to do that, they need to use their lower body. And what happens is they are pushing their lower body up and back behind them. They get moving, so they are pushing off of their lead leg to move up and back. That's what they are doing. If they do that, that's going to get everything moving. That gives the club and the butt end of the club somewhere to go, because the club will actually move up and in as well. And that is what allows the handle or the butt end of the club to keep moving, so that the club head doesn't overtake as fast as you want it. Again, it will overtake eventually somewhere out here, but we are trying to delay that as long as we can. And we do that by moving our body and getting the handle to have a place to go. Those three elements combined are what gets rid of the flip. Now, what is the big drill that we can do that's going to work on all three of those elements? Because that is a lot that is going on. This drill works really, really well, and it's something that I have players do a lot, and you can do it all the time. Don't worry if you're doing this drill if you feel like it's a little bit tricky and you might not hit the best shots. Use your launch monitor or use a camera to see what is going on with your swing. If you're using a launch monitor, I like to look at three numbers. I like to look at dynamic loft. So dynamic loft is the loft of the club that you present at impact. Static loft would be the loft that the club is built at. If I just built the club, this is how much loft is on my golf club. But when I hit it, I want to have a dynamic loft. And I want that dynamic loft to be less than whatever the static loft of your club is. So if you need to look up your specs, you can just Google search that. You can find what they are. Just try to have a number that is smaller than what the loft of your club is at. The other thing you can look at, if you don't have club data, you can look at the launch, the vertical launch of the golf ball. That should be less, again, than what your golf club is built at, and it actually should be pretty significantly less. And if you do have club data, I also really like to look at low point, because if we're doing this correct and we are not flipping, then the lowest point of my swing, especially with an iron, should be out in front of the golf ball. That is going to be three things that we like to look at. On video, obviously, we would just look for the flip as we're going through. Now, here's the drill. I set up. I'm going to get everything set, and what I'm going to do is take my hands. I do this little like Olay move is what I call it. I go like this, okay? And so I just whip it back behind, and what that does is it gets my lead wrist to flex, and it gets my trail wrist to bend or extend. Now from there, I'm going to feel like the club is on my side a little bit. You see how far back behind me the club is? We have already preset the butt end of the club out in front of the club head. From here, I'm going to bend over, and from here, I have to take the golf club to the ball. So I get set up, club's just right in front of me, do my little ole, bend forward like I'm going to hit it. Now, how do I get that club to the ball? You'll notice the face is already set square or closed even for this drill. I need to then move my body so I can get the club to the ball. So I have to do that up and back move that we are talking about. I gotta feel like I'm pushing up and back away from me. When I do this, it's going to feel very odd. You might hit some weird ones. Again, the whole point of this is to feel how we actually create shaft lean. If you hit some good shots, that's great. Over time, I do think you'll hit it pretty good, but let's go ahead and work through this drill. Get my grip, nice little ole here, bent forward to hit the ball. I'm gonna rehearse it, feel my body motion. Also kind of helps you measure off where the ball is as you go. And then we'll go through and hit a shot. Really feel that body move up and back as we go. You'll see there a couple of numbers that I like. Do have my dynamic loft at 18.9. That is well below the static loft of my golf club. Launch vertical 13.6. That is very low as we are hitting a shot. And then we do have our low point out in front of the ball. Low point for the flight scope is on the positive side. That is in front of the golf ball. If it was negative, that would be behind the golf ball. If you're using like a TrackMan, we want something that says A or after the golf ball. That's what we're looking for here. I'll go ahead, I'll do the drill one more time. There's my ole. Feel the body move right there. There we go. Get through. See, I added a little bit more loft to that one. The previous one was pretty low, but 28 degrees is still a lot less than what my golf club is built at, which is all we want for that dynamic loft number. And the launch, again, still very low compared to what we see. I'll see people hit 7-irons that are in the 30s or even 40s, and they're wondering why they are losing distance or not hitting it as far as they think they should. Now, that is the drill that we do. Now, how do we build that out? Well, what I'll then have players do is you're learning how to move down by impact. From there, we can start building the rest of our swing. So I can bring the club back, make sure the face is not open, go up, let the club fall down, and we are now back in that position that we just worked on, where we're gonna move our body and go ahead and hit that golf ball. So I can go up, club falls, move through, and I'm gonna take this through to a swing, get a feel, and you can see there, actually that was a really good one. 25.7 on the dynamic loft, low point after the golf ball, and then a 17.7 launch. That's really good numbers. Distance there, 166 carry for a 7-iron. That's really good. I didn't feel like I actually swung that full, so that's really good to see. I'm getting power when I have some extra power I could actually give it in the swing, but I'm still getting the ball to compress. That is that magical compression that people are looking for in their swing that they don't get. You need to understand how to deliver the club properly so you can make the golf ball drive out there a little bit. So that is what we worked on to get rid of the flip. That drill works wonders. It can be a really big help as we're going through to hit shots. We can start to feel how we can coordinate all three elements that really cause the flip to happen and put them together so we can actually move and get the golf club. Again, we want the butt end of the club to be beating the golf club head to the ball. That is what's going to get rid of that flip. If we can do that, we are going to be in really good shape. If you have any questions about this one, leave that comment down below. I know this is going to have some questions, so please do not hesitate to ask. I'd love to help you out and get better. And also, I'm going to link a video, because one thing when people start trying to compress the ball, they can lose that ability to find the center of the face. I want to make sure you understand how to do that. So if you find that you're struggling to find the center of the face as you're trying to get the shaft lean or the butt end of the club to lead into the golf ball, then check out this video I have here, and that will help you out with that. Thanks everybody for watching, and we're going to see you in the next one. Peace.